Yeah.
Yeah, you know what time it is. Valhalla Hour, let's go! Kick back, put on your headphones tight. Rob and Matt, bringing fire every night. From the land of 10,000 lakes, we rule the scene. With a crew so fresh, keeping it raw and clean. Minnesota Vikings, kings of the north. We wear our purple heart and let the battle roar forth. Breaking down the game, dissecting the plays. With passion so fierce, we'll set the night ablaze. So give us a follow, hit that like. Share it with your crew, you know we're about to strike. Valhalla Hour podcast, living life bold, where legends are made and stories are told.
This is a Huddle Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your NFL news here first.
How's it going, everybody? It's Saturday, May 31st. We got Sir Rocker Rob back. Sir SoCal Matt Chesterton is out this week, but we got Darren from Soul 365.
What's going on?
OTAs week, finally something to talk about football related. It's been a pretty quiet post-draft. I got Kwesi's extension to talk about as well. So, you guys want to start talking Kwesi contract, or JJ McCarthy be the next Tom Brady?
Let's start with Kwesi and then ease into JJ.
That's fair. Yeah, Kwesi extended. I didn't see it. Just said multiple years. I haven't seen the exact breakdown of the amount of years. GM and coaching contracts are usually pretty hush like that on like player contracts. It's probably 2 or 3 year deal is my guess. I think we could all agree that we're happy to have him. Like, yeah, his drafting hasn't been super great, but it's been getting a little bit better each year. And he's just been crushing undrafted free agency. He's been crushing free agency. The coach seems to really like him. They get along, which it also needs to be taken into account. So I'm happy with the extension. I know some fans aren't, but I'm very happy with it.
Yeah, I'm excited for his extension. I mean, since he's got here, he's built an absolute amazing culture. I mean, all the players that are here now, coaching, everything's on par, so it's well deserved.
Right. Yeah, I've seen some people saying like, well, because I brought up the argument in a couple groups that you don't have a 10-plus win team 2 out of 3 years with a bad GM. They have to put together some type of functional roster to have that. Like, well, a good coach you could really elevate, which is true, but not to 13 wins year one, not to 14 wins year two. You can't do that with a terrible roster just because you have a couple of good coaches. So it needs to be said that he's done enough to keep this team a really solid competitive team.
Yeah, and you look at, if you're trying to do a direct comparison with Spielman and everything, Spielman had actually probably more misses than hits. But what Spielman did was they called him Trader Rick for a purpose because he would just trade back. He accumulated so many draft picks, and Spielman was marginally good and decent in free agency and, with undrafted free agency. I think Kwesi is getting some hits now. I mean, if you take out the first year with that disastrous draft there with Lewis Seen and Booth and everything else, we've been getting not only good players in the draft, we've been making very intelligent free agency pickups, and we've been doing awesome in undrafted free agency. I mean, we always used to hang our hat on, we'll look at guys that were undrafted and everything, Adam Thielen, blah, 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 big name, from the Spielman era. We'll look at all the people that are contributing now. I mean, Ivan Pace Jr. is a starting linebacker, undrafted free agent, There's a lot of guys that are later or that have been finagled in free agency. And I still, at this point in time, even only 1 year in, say that what he did with the move, because everybody was just wanting to fire him when he let Danielle Hunter go. But bringing in Grenard, Cashman, and Van Ginkel for the price of Danielle Hunter was absolutely fucking genius.
Right.
Look at what that did to that team last year. And of the three, Cashman gets the least amount of recognition, but he should have the most, in my opinion. And I'm a fan. you know,
We saw that last year when he missed a handful of games. Our defense took an immediate hit with him not on the field.
Yeah.
yeah. Who?
So
I'm happy with Kwesi, and I mean, people always want to. The first thing they want to do is they want to yap about Lewis Seen and Andrew Booth and everything. But does anybody say anything about Jordan Addison?
Nope.
You know, no. I mean, that was
Well,
Kwesi, 100%.
Nobody says anything about Ivan either.
Right.
I got in kind of a crazy argument yesterday with a fellow Viking fan he wasn't talking down on Jordan Addison, but he's like, well, Quasi's biggest impact draft pick so far was Jordan Addison, who's just a number two. Well, you're going to be a number two when your other receiver on your team is Justin Jefferson, but I'd probably say about 10 teams that Jordan Addison could be a wide receiver one on. Like
Green Bay
he's had 19 touchdowns in 2 seasons, and he missed 3 games. So, like, he's only got 32 games played, and he's got almost 2,000 yards, and 19 touchdowns as a number two. When his quarterback for last year, again, he had a great season, but his quarterback was Sam Darnold. When JJ missed 7 games 2 years ago, Addison didn't skip a beat drawing double coverage. Like, that is a legitimate number one who's having to play number two.
You know, and you bring up such a great point, Matthew. I don't have the time during a live show to sit down and try to research this. I would like to know how many other number two wide receiver twos, not counting Green Bay because they don't have a wide receiver one, but how many wide receiver twos on other teams in the league over the past 2 years have put up 19 tutties?
I see Lions fans hyping up J-Mo, like, oh, he's got 10 touchdowns in 36 games. Like,
I mean, the only one you can really make a name for outside of Addison would be like T. Higgins
and Devontae Smith.
Yeah.
But those are receivers that could go into another team and be a wide receiver. I mean, right. Devontae Smith was the wide receiver one until they traded for A.J. Brown. So
right.
Yep.
Yeah, and as long as they have Amon-Ra St. Brown and whatever in Detroit.
Gambling J-Mo.
Yeah. You know, I mean, J-Mo's rookie year was a goddamn disaster. And I'm not fully sold on him going to a different team and being a wide receiver one just because of the fact of his supporting cast. Because the Lions have about as stacked of a team, if not, some would argue they're better than us. I would say we still have the better offense, but you know,
I still think we got the better defense too.
Oh yeah.
The leg we don't have to stand on is we have a quarterback that is unproven. He hasn't played one single NFL snap. You know, then again, we are a 14-win team. They were a 15-win team, and we had Sam fucking Darnold last year. They had Jared Goff.
Yeah.
You know, so I think the quarterback thing is where people are going to give the Lions the edge. But when you look at skill position players all the way up and down the roster and everything, I think we're pretty much neck to neck. And I feel
the Lions. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I said I just feel like we should at least split with them this year. We should have split with them last year and everything. But, you know.
Yeah, that first game got away from us. I'd say if I was going to put the Lions ahead of us offensively, it would just be because of their run game. Like, Gibbs and Montgomery is a absolutely ridiculous 1-2 punch. We'll see what we have with Jones and Mason because we haven't had a number 2 like Mason before. So maybe we can kind of get there if he can repeat what he did in San Francisco last year with our new O-line. But, yeah, the Lions' run game is they're absolutely frustrating to play against because they're unstoppable.
Yeah, it's like the same thing with the Rams going up against the Rams. Their run game is absolutely fucking insane. And then you look at how they play defense too.
Right. So, But yeah, McCarthy, man. I guess if we're gonna have a smooth segue into the next topic, it's OTAs and how McCarthy's kind of picked back up with all these naysayers over the last couple months of him being still injured. Oh, he had to have that second surgery, which was just an injection in his knee to prevent swelling. But my God, everybody's saying he looks like he hasn't skipped a beat. He's picked right up where he left off last year. So cannot wait.
I was trying to get a video, but it wouldn't download it off Twitter because people are putting a lot of the stuff. But, you know, I mean, it's all overhyped. It's like, JJ is out there looking exactly like Mahomes. It's like, come on, you guys. It's OTA. Yes.
Yeah. I
He's
was
made
I was seeing a meme that Cesario dropped in the Skull Gang chat, and I'm just like, okay, well, I sure hope so that all these comparisons fucking live out, dude. But I mean, I can't see it until he actually plays.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of the frustrating thing is like, granted, it was just one preseason game and it was just one training camp, and none of that equates to an actual NFL
Right,
game. But we did see him throw in a preseason game, so we did see how his arm looked.
right,
And so if they're saying that he's coming out again this year, and they're saying like, yeah, obviously you're not getting pressured by a defense in OTAs, but you can still see the zip someone puts on a throw. You can still see tight windows that a quarterback can throw into. There was that OTA hype video from the Vikings account where he had to throw into that netting or whatever that's just kind of got that square little cutout, and he looked pretty far away, and he placed it on time. So like you might not know how they're going to handle pressure, but you can still see the accuracy in their
right.
throws. You can still see the power in their throws, and so like I don't know how there was ever the narrative that he didn't have a strong arm or that he didn't have a cannon, but that dude's
Yeah, it's
absolutely
like
got a cannon.
a lot of the Lion fans that are Wolverine fans just relentless shitting on this dude, talking about, oh, he can't throw. He only can perform well when he's got a running cast around him. And I'm just like, okay, well, that was Harbaugh's system, not O'Connell's.
Right.
So
And,
two
and we
different
kind of
systems.
saw that with her. Bro, sorry. Yeah, we kind of saw that with Herbert last year and on the Chargers. Not a very
right,
high touchdown output.
right.
But I mean,
So
like the Chargers, I mean, they got a lot of fucking shit going wrong with them.
yeah, yeah. I've seen some Lions fans who are Wolverines fans that are actually a little nervous, saying like, "Ah, shit! Like if we get Wolverine McCarthy on the Vikings, it's a wrap." But I also have seen the ones that came for their Lion bias aside. They're just hoping for his
Yep.
downfall. But I know a few Lions fans that are Wolverines fans that did not want us to draft McCarthy for this reason of like, oh God, if he translates, like that kid was being not held down in Michigan, but like he showed it up when he threw. Like if you give this kid an offense, he's going to be special.
Yeah, when they told him to show up, he showed up. So
Yeah,
and, like all the things that he's already doing, like he's there, he's learning, he wants to learn, he wants to get better. Like all these are great signs.
yeah.
And I mean,
And we
and on top of that, I mean, he's throwing 6+ tutties in practice. Meanwhile, Caleb Williams fucking struggling, and they're not even wearing pads, and there's no contact. So I mean, could be worse.
yeah, that's interesting. I wonder if that's a product of obviously just another coach. This is what his third head coach in a season, not even 2 seasons. He's going into a second year, and Ben Johnson is coming in with this probably really complicated offense. And I've down talked Caleb Williams a few times in here. I didn't think he was going to be all that coming into the draft. I think Ben Johnson's style of offense, which has really helped Detroit be so um, you can't tell what they're going to do. They have all these really
Right.
intelligent designed plays, and it's a hard offense to run. Jared Goff is a savvy vet. He's been to a Super Bowl. I don't think Caleb Williams is going to handle running that type of offense. So I don't know if Ben Johnson's going to have to adjust to Caleb Williams, or if Caleb Williams is going to either have to pick it up or he won't be on that team in a couple years.
It wouldn't surprise
Yeah.
me if they moved on from him.
Yeah, what were you going to say, Rob?
I don't know. Like with Ben Johnson, what do you even do? Because I mean, the guy knows how to run his offense, and he is obviously very freaking good at it. And he knows how to run his defense, and he's very freaking good at it. What do you do when you've got a second year number one quarterback and everything if the guy can't figure it out? Do you yet
Right.
again you go for your 10th quarterback in 12 years, or is Ben Johnson and his coaching staff going to have to just, instead of running what they feel like they want to run or whatever, make it work, for the
Mhm.
quarterback that they have? That's the question there.
Well, I mean, Jacksonville's kind of in the same boat with Lawrence. Like he was this. Oh, he's the next Peyton Manning coming out of the draft, and he's looked decent. He's had a couple of good games. He had that one big comeback against the Chargers in the playoffs, but ultimately he's been extremely disappointing for the hype that he had coming out of the draft. And now they brought in Doug Peterson last year, who's a Super Bowl winning head coach. And
Right.
they brought in, they at least got decent receivers. They got, was that Michael Johnson last year? And you still
And
just don't see anything.
then they got the rookie Brian Thomas.
Or Brian Thomas, yeah, that's what I meant. Thank you. And then you still just don't see like a big uptick in his performance. And so it's like, well, they've tried replacing the coaching with better coaches. They've tried bringing in the talent to help him succeed. He's still just, and I still feel like, well, is he a bust yet? Well, it's been like year 4, year 5. Like at some point, you have to understand this quarterback is not elevating this franchise. Obviously, that's way too early for Chicago. But from what I hear about Chicago owners, they're not the type to give the coach the free reign to whip the team into shape. And they're more the owners that are like, hey, you got to change your style. So I think they're going to force Ben Johnson to kind of change up what makes him him in order to fit the offense more so than they're going to let him make the offense fit him.
Right. Which quarterback has the possibility of becoming a Saint? Caleb Williams or Trevor Lawrence?
Trevor Lawrence, just because yeah. The amount of years he's had in.
I bet you they both would like to be.
I mean, it could be Kirk.
True. Or it could be Rodgers.
Yeah, I think he's going with the Steelers over the Saints, but yeah, I don't know. Good luck to Chicago. Ben Johnson scares me, but at the same time, like if Caleb can't pick up his offense, maybe it won't be that scary after all.
Bear fans like David Wyatt say they're going to wipe the floor with us week 1. I find that fucking hilarious that you even fucking think that, because week 1 Bear fans is going to be an extra preseason game for us. So technically, week 1 doesn't start until week 2.
I never really hype. I try not to talk too much shit week 1 because it's such a fluky week of the season because no one plays their starters in preseason, so everyone comes out rusty.
It's just like they're just coming out saying, "Oh, we're gonna beat the shit out of Minnesota." And I'm like, dude,
what? With what? We swept you last year and we got better. I'm sorry. Like, cool, you guys brought in a couple of old linemen, so did we. Like, what else did you do?
Jonah Jackson. I mean, you drafted a wide receiver who, in my opinion, is like compared to fucking Green Bay wide receivers. I mean, not really all that. He's got the speed in the hands, but I mean, okay.
They got Loveland. I mean, Loveland's going to be a good tight end if he translates. So, I mean,
good. Cole Kmet, pretty much like Josh Oliver block.
Right.
They brought in fucking another running back who scrub.
We get it. The Bears win the offseason every year. Then guess what? They won last offseason. They regressed by 2 games. So good luck.
But they just need to bring the massage parlor to Caleb. We'll turn it around.
What I don't want to see is the Vikings get cocky and just kind of quit, 4 minutes left in the game and let the Bears come back and stuff like they did last year. That I can do without that.
That pissed me off.
Yeah.
I can do without that. Any NFL team is capable of striking if you start sitting on your hands instead of going to work every minute.
This could just be which. Oh, sorry.
No, I just could say you got to play all 60 minutes.
Yeah, this could be wishful thinking, but I think bringing in hard ass vets like Allen and Hargrave, like they're gonna. If there's even a whiff of players on the defense relaxing in the final minutes, they're gonna be like, "Hey, what the fuck? It's not zeros yet." And we brought in some hard hitting vets in free agency this year that I think that they're gonna really help Flores coach some grit into this team that we didn't have the last couple of years.
Yeah, especially on the interior defensive line, exactly what you said. We've been relying on, a bunch of young guys and everything. Now you got some veterans, some hard hitters, some proven guys. They're going to demand accountability out of the rest of the teammates and everything. So I think it's a great thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm very excited. That's the next contract extension we got to see as Vikings fans is the B flow extension. I know he really wants to be a head coach again, and he's probably hesitant on signing an extension. But I think if he misses out on another round of coaching opportunities this year, he just kind of packs it in, and then we extend him maybe for a couple of years, especially if we produce another top 10 defense. So that would be a top 10 defense in each of his first 3 seasons here, and you really kind of want to lock that up if at all possible.
Yeah. So
How's it going, Yoli?
we got a handful of different kinds of players that are in different situations this year. Now that we're into OTAs and it's going to get serious in training camp, there's some players on this roster that have been on there for a couple of years and everything that because of upgrades we made, I don't think they're going to survive this year. I think this will be their last go around with the Minnesota Vikings that will get cut. And then we also have some guys that are stepping up into certain positions that a lot's going to be expected from them. They're not in danger of being cut, but they're going to feel the pressure because the fans, the coaches, and their teammates are going to expect a lot out of them. And I'm talking about guys like Mekhi Blackman. The expectations are very high for him missing an entire year. And I'm talking about guys like Metellus, who can play every position, but is going to be counted on it more at safety with Bynum leaving. And then, of course, you got Ward and whatever other kind of rotations are going to run back there. There's going to be some guys that are asked to step up. You know, there's also going to be some guys that I think are just going to get outplayed and lose their job. Let me go down the list here. I'm going to give you guys the names of people that I think are just going to not make it because we've upgraded. We'll start off with Brian Asamoah.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
I don't see where there's going to be a roster spot for him this year.
Maybe special teams.
Well, maybe they keep him around for special teams and for depth and everything, but
Right.
he's been solidly beaten out for having any kind of starting position on this team.
I would say I'm a bad fan because I honestly thought he was already off the team. I just didn't hear his name mentioned at all. I thought he was like a mid-season cut last year.
I mean, technically, you could say that he lost his job once we took Kobe King.
Yeah, I do not see him having a roster spot this season.
Yeah. My next guy that I am almost positive, unless there's some weird quasi loyalty or connection, but we've already seen that Quasi will get rid of somebody that he just drafted and everything. I'm saying Ty Chandler is out the door.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's see who else. This one is gonna be the longest. Well, fuck it. We got for half an hour left.
Yeah, we got one.
Naylor.
Ooh.
I think he stays.
Yeah,
this
I
is
think
a tough
I think he's the one that stays.
Because if Ty Felton takes his job, you got to get rid of a bunch of guys that are special teams contributors too, like both Jacksons, Tristan Lucky. You know, I mean, they bounce back and forth and spend most of their time in the practice squad anyways. You know, but if Ty Felton steps up and we're really like the second reincarnation and 2.0 of 3 deep, and this kid looks as good in the real thing as what he does on tape right now in OTAs and just the praises that everybody's singing about him, Naylor's going to find himself the odd man out. You know, but they can keep and probably will keep a ton of wide receivers on this roster. So that's an interesting.
My thoughts there is because we obviously have Jefferson, we have Addison, we have Felton to keep hands out. Well, that's the thing. It's like that's only 3 receivers, so we usually keep 5 on rosters. So that would put Jefferson, Addison, Naylor, Moore, Felton. So I think we keep all 5, and if there is only 4 like rotational receivers, I think Moore is going to be more of a special teamer than he is going to be an active contributing receiver. Whereas Naylor, he's not great, but he's been a solid wide receiver 3. I don't think he loses his job just because we brought in Rondale Moore. And I definitely don't think that he loses his job over like Tristan or Lucky Jackson. And it's a contract year. Maybe the team will pay him some grace and let him play out for a big deal, or not a big deal, but whatever he'll get. But I think Naylor stays, especially like we're talking about OTA footage. He looks like he's put on some muscle, and he looks like he's playing for that contract year. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. How about at safety, a guy who was considered possibly the guy that would replace Bynum, but now we don't know Theo Jackson.
I mean, we just paid him decent money, so he's absolutely a lock for at least this season.
Yeah.
I mean, he's making like top 15 money,
Yeah.
and we just don't have we don't have anybody else.
No, we don't. I mean, we're a little short on that area. How about I'm just looking through here.
There, real quick, going back to Theo Jackson, I don't know if it was Ben Lieber on the power trip, but I heard somebody talking recently about Theo Jackson and how there are players around the league that are like, why the hell did Tennessee give up on him? Like he's a solid safety who just like Flores is kind of unlocking him, and I'm really excited to see what he does this year as like a full time starter safety.
Right. Okay, just switching gears real quick, back to guys that a lot are going to be expected of. Dwight McLovin. I think he makes the roster, but
Yeah.
I also think, like Blackman, the expectations are going to be quite high for him. The Vikings need him to. They need him to be that man. You know, because again, we don't have a whole hell of a lot of other options unless we start scrambling for other people's scraps after training camp cuts. But okay, so if we think we're keeping Jalen Naylor, the newly signed Rondale Moore, what are we thinking there?
He's got a lot of competition. He's going to have to prove that he's more than just a returner to get a roster spot. But again, we usually keep 5 receivers, and he would be that fifth. So
Yep. Similar situation to Asamoah in terms of playing time, but completely different because of injury. Second year UCLA undrafted free agent Gabe Murphy.
I think he's out.
Outside linebacker, and we are absolutely loaded at pass rusher.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's going to make it.
Yeah, the Ingram Dawkins pick is going to lose him his job, if anything.
All right, now you guys are going to start laughing right away when I bring this up. But it wouldn't be the first time the Vikings have signed free agents that at one point in time had somewhat of a notable name for either good reasons or bad reasons, and then decided in camp this ain't working out. Jeff Okuda. What do we think about Jeff?
I'm going to say the same thing about him as I am Rondale Moore. He's going to have a place on special teams. He's fast. He's a hard hitter. He could be a good gunner. He's going to have to prove that he's more than a gunner if he's going to lock up a roster spot. I think the biggest saving grace for him is the fact that we are absolutely paper thin at corner. I mean, we have Murphy coming back. That's great. We brought in Rogers from Philly, who only started like 7 games last year. We have a lot of hope for him. We have some hope for Blackman. That's it. And you need more than 3 corners. So he doesn't have, like, I think he's going to be safe just out of pure necessity and just out of pure Flores seeing, like, can I make something of this guy? And he was a number 3 overall pick, number 4 overall pick for a reason. I know not everybody translates, but I would hope that we give him more than just 2 weeks of training camp to see if Flores can get something out of him.
Right. What about, and again, this isn't because this is a bad player, but Bo Richter, we can't carry 8 pass rushers on the 53.
Yeah.
And I really do hope that when it comes to guys like him and Gabe Murphy and everything else, that they have a way to keep them on the practice squad somehow. You know, but I don't see it with Bo. I mean, such a feel-good story coming out of Air Force, all that other stuff. Did get a little bit of time last year in spots and whatever, did what he's needed. But shit, I mean, when you're talking about you're competing with, a first-round draft pick last year in Dallas Turner, plus you've got the two studs in Grenard and Van Ginkel, and then everybody else that we've got on there that can do basically everything. I mean, it's a hard sell to try and find a spot for Bo, unless it is
Right.
special teams. Same thing, interior lineman, the guy we all wanted to see that we never did get to last year, Levi Drake Rodriguez, he's undersized, but has all the right things that you want in a Vikings player. The attitude is great, the work ethic, the teammates love him and everything. But now we went and we got, Hargraves and Allen. What do you do there? Try and keep them around for the future when those guys are done with their contracts, or what do you think on that?
I would hope so. I mean, we sit here and talk about how kind of the aging of the defense because Allen, Hargrave, Harrison Smith, they're pretty up there in age. We're going to talk about Kwesi drafts and how we can sustain this team long term. We need to be able to rely on some of these young guys. And I mean, I wouldn't say Phillips is undersized. I think the LDR is smaller than Phillips, but if you have a high motor and you're good at your job, you can kind of make up for that lack of size at certain positions. And we just need the young depth. So I think he stays on the team just because, I mean, eventually you do need to get younger. The Allen and Hargrave contracts could be over after next year if we really want them to be. So I don't think you're moving on from young, hardworking talent just because of a couple aging 1 year vet contracts.
Right. We are at the halfway point of our show, and we should probably run this little commercial, which is basically also our outro and everything. But when we come back, we'll finish scrubbing the roster on who we think is going to make it and who we don't. I mean, we're not going to dig in the weeds on every single camp body that's out there, but we're going to do this commercial here real quick. We'll be back in 1 minute, you guys.
Yeah, yo, it's game time, ain't no messing around. Huddle Sports Network, the best in town. From NFL rumors to the latest trends, we got all your sports, just tune in, my friends. Catch us on Roku, Fire Stick, take your pick. Facebook, YouTube, where the action's slick. Daily shows that drop like a bomb. From 10 to 11, it's Ken and Ken, stay calm. Huddle up, catch the vibe, feel the rush. Get your news, get your fills in the clutch. Over 27 podcasts, we breaking it down. Join the team, Huddle Sports, wear the crown. Live every weekday, it's how we roll. Lions Talk with Jeremy B, we taking a stroll. From 11 to 12, don't miss a beat. We break down the game, make the info sweet. The Daily Huddle Podcast, noon to 1. CST Zone, we're just having fun. Toss your doubts, we bring the facts. Tune into the Huddle.
And we're back. All right. So, at any rate, we're talking about who we think has a good chance of probably not being on the Vikings anymore and everything, just because of the upgrades that we've made. I am going to stop and pause here on Jalen Redmond. I think regardless of how many snaps that Allen and Hargraves take, I think Jalen Redmond has earned the right to be on this team on the 53 this year to do rotational stuff. What do you guys think on that? What's your theory on that?
I agree.
He's earned a spot.
Yeah, I actually like using him on Madden. He's kind of twitchy and can get through the line pretty well. So obviously Madden's not real life, but yeah. And again, just kind of what we were just saying before about just needing young depth for the future of this defense to succeed. And when you look like you can at least be competent in the position, you're probably going to keep your job.
Okay, guy that I do think is on the odd man out on that D-line rotation, Taki Tiamani.
Yeah.
He's out.
He was that fun watch last year, kind of like Gabe Murphy. We were all like preseason hype and like, hey, like he looks decent. And then I just heard absolutely nothing of him. Never even threatened to make a starting push. So
right,
yeah, he's out.
That's the obvious ones I can think of. Can you think of any Vikings that the position is pretty much theirs until they fuck up and then they're on the hot seat. This is a controversial one because he has really, really good games, but then he has really, really detrimental bad games. Our punter, Ryan Wright, I feel like he could, this
Yeah.
could be a hot seat year for him.
Yeah, hot seat for sure.
He needs to get back to where he was like 2-3
His
years
rookie year.
Rookie year.
Yeah. No, I was very surprised that we didn't. Like, I don't know if it was said verbatim, but I pretty much thought I heard like he's not really having any competition this year against him. And I thought that was kind of strange because he has really struggled the last 2 years. His placement's not great. I really thought we were going to make a bigger push like we did with kicker, where we're going to bring in somebody to kind of test him. And it looks like he's kind of safe right now, and that needs to not be the case. He has not been very good the last 2 years.
Yeah. Who do you guys think? I guess they're supposed to be the man, and they're probably not in any danger. But the leash is getting shorter, and the patience is running out if they don't perform up to expectations. There's probably a couple of them on our roster on either side of the ball. Who do you really think? And I know people love to the top two, and I just don't get it with our fan base. But the top two people that fans keep on talking about would be great trade bait, or we could save money and blah 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 and get all these draft picks are literally like Addison and Hawkinson. I mean, they're not fucking going anywhere. I mean,
I keep hearing that from Viking fans. I keep hearing that from teams outside of our division.
I was gonna kind of say, like, I'm not saying he's on a hot seat and he has a short leash, because he doesn't, because he is a good player. But the one that I could see if he doesn't have a big year of quote being on a hot seat is Hawkinson, with the amount that he's going to be counted against the cap over the next 2 years and how much he's getting paid. I understand he was coming off a major injury last year, and it takes a little bit to get your feet back under you. But if he fails to put up over 7 touchdowns or over 900 yards this year, I don't think the Vikings find it worth paying him $20+ million at tight end. And we, again, could use draft picks to help build a younger team. And if someone says, like, hey, we'll give you a second and a third for Hawkinson, I don't know if the Vikings turn that down. I don't think he's on a hot seat. He's not a bad player. I think it's just going to be return for money spent. If he doesn't have a top 5 or at bare minimum top 10 statistical season for a tight end, I think the Vikings wonder, hey, are we going to want to pay this guy $20+ million over the next 2 years?
I agree, and I think that no matter what, the stats are not going to be where the fans want. Like 2 years ago, I mean, he was only like 40-some yards away from breaking the all-time Joe Sensor's all-time single season yardage. I think Joe Sensor's the only tight end in Vikings history that has logged 1,000. I have to look up all those single season stats again. We went through this or whatever, and Hawkinson already did break the receptions record in 1 year. If it weren't for the fact that we have so many weapons, and then we just added to it again, you have a wild card with Ty Felton, you have a wild card with Jordan Mason, you have a wild card with Aaron Jones, who is equally as good as receiving as he is running. And then, of course, your normal studs that you have, your Justin Jeffersons, your Addisons, and everything else. If they make Hawkinson a focal point in certain games and everything, I would say Hawkinson has the ability to put up 10 touchdowns and 1,000. I think fans should be satisfied or okay with 7 to 8 and 7 to 800 with all those other weapons on the roster. That's realistic because you have to take all that into context. If this team didn't have Addison and we didn't have Aaron Jones and we didn't have Jordan Mason and we just had like your normal Ty Chandler or whatever, we'll just go back to Hawkinson's first year with the team and everything when he was putting up those numbers. So you had Dalvin Cook mainly doing Dalvin Cook shit. We all know that he was, he still put up a good numbers that year and everything, but he disappeared so hard. I mean, we were all falling for the Cook is cooked. Time to go.
That was a crazy fall off.
I'd say after that Colts game, I'd say he was done after that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
we had Jefferson and we had Thielen, and people that had at least two good corners or three on defense could make things real interesting. That's where Hawkinson was coming in and making all those plays. He was a go-to guy. I mean, uh, that doesn't exist anymore. I mean, they almost, you shouldn't say you have too many weapons, but there's going to be some really good players that are going to be cut from the pass catching group of the Minnesota Vikings, whether it's wide receiver, some of our practice squad wide receiver or guys that we can't stick on the practice squad and whatever, that they're going to get snagged up. They're going to be in somebody else's 53.
Yeah.
Hawkinson, I think can thrive. It just depends on how much they game plan for him. When the sledding, the thing with Hawkinson, so Kyle Rudolph was pretty much a fan favorite for many, many, many years, and rightfully so. And he, will go down as one of the top, 4 or 5 tight ends, or if not top 3 in Vikings history. But the last half of his career with the Vikings, he was a red zone target. Hawkinson can kill you if you have corners that are playing press coverage, and for whatever reason they can double team your wide receivers and they can at least slow you down. And in the past, the O-line could not hold up. You could pretty much flip it to Hawkinson in between the 20s and everything. And unless somebody's dive bombing his knee and breaking it, the guy would usually come up with the fucking football.
Right.
I just, with all the weapons that they have right now and everything, and 2 running backs that can also do those exact same things that I'm talking about that Hawkinson was so good at doing 2 years ago. I'm just wondering what his role is going to be. I wonder what the coach's expectations are of him for what he's getting. And I also halfway think that they'll restructure him and
Yeah.
that he'll play for less money.
That would be the right call, is restructuring, because he is important. He is a good player. He's a top 10 tight end, and he has the capability of being a top 5 tight end. I think there's a cliche that young quarterbacks kind of favor the tight end because they're a safety outlet. And if that's the case, then I do expect him, like you said, to have a borderline 10 touchdown, 1,000-yard receiving season with JJ McCarthy, because he's just going to be relied upon, especially as a safety outlet in the red zone. So I think he can put up those numbers, but yeah, he's going to have to restructure.
Yeah. Who else you guys think really needs to step up their game, or their patience is running out with them?
I mean, we talk about, as we're going to talk tight ends, with Johnny Munn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see that.
Otherwise, I mean, we kind of hit all the ones that Brian Asamoah, like, obviously he's playing for his life. A couple depth defensive tackles, but otherwise, like CJ Ham, he's a Pro Bowl fullback. He's not going anywhere. We already touched on Ty Chandler. There's really nobody else that's, I don't want to sound too cocky as a roster, but there's really no one else that's playing bad enough that it's like, you better not F up, otherwise it's your job. I think the 90% of this roster is pretty safe right now.
What do we feel like about Blake Brandel?
Yeah.
The what's up?
Blake Brandel.
Yep, I was going to say that.
I mean, it depends on Rouse. I mean, we need O-line depth, and he played well when Darisaw was healthy last year, so I don't think he played bad enough to lose himself a job. I think Ingram is gone way quicker than he is if he can swing over to the right side just for depth purposes, but I think he played well enough in the first half of last year to warrant keeping him as a backup, unless Walter Rouse does end up having a better second year in practice this year, and he can kind of take that over, but we'll see.
Well, Rouse, I think, has to stick around to be a backup tackle anyways.
Yeah.
And everything. Guard, yeah, it's just interesting. I think they'll find a way to keep both of them because, you have Juergens is the backup center, basically. And, Ingram's gone, Reisner's gone, all these other guys. You got to have some kind of depth there that you can rely on,
Well, we brought in Stoll or whatever from Houston as a backup tackle, so.
Yeah.
I was happy we got rid of Bradbury.
I think Bradbury was happy to be out of there too because he was really starting to hear from all the fans about it. So
A real Matt Khalil situation.
I'm tired of seeing him on his back every Sunday,
right,
Yeah. I mean,
or
I get
stepping on the quarterback's cleat.
that. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we've referenced the picture multiple times when talking about Bradbury, but when you see him standing on a court next to Kyle Rudolph and Kyle Rudolph's bigger than him, it's like, it's not great for a starting center there, buddy.
yeah, that's pretty much suboptimal.
Yeah.
And there's a
So,
reason why he got
I mean,
mauled year after
I
year.
was really happy with getting Donovan Jackson. I think that's going to help out a lot.
Yeah,
yeah, I've done a complete 180 on that pick. I went from like, God, what the hell are we doing to like, I am so hyped. Yeah,
That's just a massive dude, massive human.
yeah. Yeah, and again, as we talk about grit, that's why I wanted that Booker guy as well because they're
Yep.
just bullies on their side of the ball, man. Like I cannot wait to have someone that's going to put someone on their ass.
And it's gonna help out having him in there because Darisaw's not completely all there yet. So having him being able to play guard and tackle.
Yeah, that's a good point, Luca. We do like we talked about with Fries. At least his injury is not a soft tissue. It doesn't really have the expectation to re-aggravate. But Kelly at center is, yeah, he definitely has injury concerns. So hopefully Jurgens is a quality backup because we don't have Bradbury anymore.
I feel like everything that the team says and the coaches that I think they're comfortable with Jurgens
Yeah.
as a backup center. So
Yeah.
the thing that makes me happy is I think it's been at least 10 years and no shit
Yep.
that our offensive line has been problematic for 10 years. And when you look at the early exits that we have, and yes, the Vikings have done their entire freaking history of the franchise, but a lot of these things, like why did we get destroyed so bad in Philadelphia uh, in 17 and everything in that championship game? They ran over our O line like they're kindergartners. You know, why have we gotten destroyed by any team that has a top 5, pass rush or a top 5
We had a bad old line.
D line? It's been a problem for years and years and years and years. And I don't know if the Vikings, if they just what the deal was. I mean, they've had so many good players on the roster that just never got to see anything more in a playoff appearance or one playoff win or whatever come to fruition for them and everything, because as soon as they run into that big team, that the team that's bringing a hellacious defense is probably going to be the one that's going to be in the championship game or looking to go to the Super Bowl. And if you know that you're just going to get run through like a hot knife through butter, why the fuck didn't they fix this years ago? Well, I feel like this is the first year in a long time that they were aggressive with bringing in Kelly, with bringing in Fries, and there's a whole bunch of other guards and tackles that they brought in. We'll see once where the dust settles and everything. But the interior, I mean, the inside of that O line has been fucked since the day Bradbury was drafted, and nobody wants to,
And then you throw in Ingram to that didn't help. And then you had a couple other scrubs that are no longer here.
Yeah.
Well, the game that comes to mind for me is the second year we had Kirk when we beat the Saints on the road. We were the wild card team; they were the 3 seed, or whatever. We went to San Francisco, and our defense played well enough in that game, but our O line just got destroyed by that 49ers D line, and Kirk was running for his life, and we had a terrible, terrible offensive game because of it. And that same 49ers D line destroyed the Aaron Rodgers Packers the next week. But like our defense played well enough to win that game, but our O line was just obliterated on every snap.
This is what I'm saying. If we get to where we need to get to this year and it's back to a championship game, and we can actually get through and get a couple playoff wins and everything. I mean, the Lions are going to be tough in our own division, but we can play the Lions, right? The defenses that seem to always give us fits, and it was San Francisco's, but lately we've been beating them. The past couple times we played them. Granted, it's in our own stadium, but we cannot hold up against Philadelphia's defense. We cannot hold up
Rams.
against
Yeah, the Rams destroyed us twice.
Oh yeah, I mean, if it's the Rams, if it's Philly, I'm trying to think of South teams. I don't think we have, but then again, South team is probably not going to be the
Dallas.
It's been a hot.
I mean, Parsons usually gives us fits, but
we'll find out when we play them this year, I guess. But that would be my three I'm concerned with, not in any particular order. I think somewhere with the top two, you're gonna have Philly and you're gonna have the Rams, and then you're gonna have Detroit in third, because we can hang with Detroit and they're not kicking our fucking ass. Then again, they were missing Aiden Hutchinson too. But
yeah,
I feel like the Commanders are going to be on that list.
The way they're building that line, that is probably going to be an issue too, and that's why I'm thankful. This is going to be the big test. Can we hold up against a Super Bowl type talent on somebody's front seven? So,
and then outside of the conference, I'm going to say the Ravens.
Is their D line that dominant? I guess I really don't know. I know they have a really good defense, obviously, but I don't know if they have like that giant pass rushing D line that would give us fits.
yeah, I guess all last year I didn't pay much attention to the Ravens, to be honest.
I think what helps them is Lamar is just so prolific on offense that the defense doesn't see the field that much, so they can stay fresh and stay productive.
Right.
I'd say the Steelers, like with T.J. Watt, possibly,
Yeah.
and then Browns possibly with Myles Garrett.
But what I'm hoping is, now that we have put the most effort that we've put in over a decade into actually fixing the O-line, that this does not become a problem anymore.
I'm hoping so too.
I do too, but yeah, I mean, in terms of inside linebackers, Asamoah's out. I don't know that Batty, there's a roster spot for him. When you've got guys, yes, the team needs to have depth and everything else, and maybe he plays himself into a spot and everything. For inside linebackers and everything, I think it's pretty much a lock, and it will be a lock that the guys are obviously Blake Cashman, and then it's Ivan Pace Jr. Outside linebacker, which are more your pass rushers, and I hate the fact that I just wish we could go back to 4-3, but never in my life do I think the Minnesota Vikings were going to run a 3-4 base defense. I still don't like it, but
yeah, I feel the same way.
Jesus Christ. I'm telling you, I mean, the team that brought you the historic Purple People Eater should never be anything other than a 4-3 front. But anyways, I'm done bitching about that. We have a lot of, we'll just call them edge rushers that are going to be really good, and they're going to be on a team, but there's simply not a way to keep them all on the Minnesota Vikings this year, Brent.
Yeah.
We're talking about that. It's just,
we have so many good talent on edge.
I mean, shit. I mean, we were just talking about Bo Richter and a couple other guys earlier too. When you have a Jonathan Grenard and an Andrew Van Ginkel and a Dallas Turner up and coming and all this other stuff. I mean, it's hard for good players to make a roster when, like, our two most stacked up position groups on the entire team, either side right now, is going to be your edge rushers and your wide receivers. There's going to be good ones that we can't keep on the 53, We're going to try to stick them on the practice squad, but teams around the league are wising up, and they're going to snag these guys up to put them on their 53.
We saw with Pat Jones. He got paid because he had 7.5, 8 sacks last year. We just couldn't keep him.
We talked about Jalen Redmond earlier, Luca. I think even with Hargraves and Allen coming in, I think other guys are probably going to be, by attrition, getting rid of Patrick Jones too, and whatever. I think you're going to see guys, that we wanted to see succeed, like a Levi Drake Rodriguez and a couple other ones. I think Redmond is earned himself a spot on this team.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think you'll have 4 interior defensive linemen in either or whatever kind of position and everything. That's going to be Harrison Phillips. It's going to be Hargraves. It's going to be Allen, and I think Redmond. I think they'll run those 4. I think I'd be shocked as shit if they cut Redmond, and I think the fans would be pretty pissed too.
Was it last week or the week before that we brought up Ivan Pace being an undrafted free agent in year 3 for undrafted free agents being their last contractual year, and he's a restricted free agent after this season? So I guess that'll be an interesting thing to keep an eye on if the Vikings are going to extend him and pay him, or if they're going to put a restricted tender on him and see if we can recoup a draft pick by him hitting free agency. But
yeah,
I do remember hearing that this is, I guess, his last year under contract because of him being an undrafted free agent. So who knows what's going to happen with Pace after this year if the Vikings were on to pay him $10+ million to stay, or if they're going to just tender him for free agency.
I feel like Pace, and we make fun of the Packers all the time and everything because they think that every player on their roster is just solid gold. And I mean, throughout the years, look at guys that are just, kind of laughable, like John Kuhn. A fan favorite. The guy gets 1 yard on second down, and the whole stadium's Kuhn. Okay, we're a little bit that way. Ivan Pace is, when we yell and cheer for Ivan Pace, it's usually because he goes and he makes a hell of a fucking play. And he's got a tackle for a major loss, or he blows through and gets a sack or whatever. But honestly, I think Ivan Pace would command an average salary.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah,
I agree.
Average or median, whatever you want to call it. I think that's the kind of salary, and I think the Vikings would like to do that and get him inked and everything because he's a good player and he's
right.
Good. He's good for the team,
Right. Yeah, I think the top end linebackers are making something like $20 million. So yeah, 10 to 11 would put him just about that range. It's like, hey, you're starting quality, but you're not a top 20 starting quality. You're a top 32 starting quality.
Right.
So, I would think that we keep him. Again, we've talked about his coverage skills being a little subpar because of his size. But what he does well, he does at an above average level. And you can't just move on from that. So,
yeah.
Kind of like we talked with Cashman being out last year and us seeing an impact. When Pace was out, we saw an impact. Like our run game definitely takes a hit when he's not on the field.
Yeah. Well, we're getting down here. We're about to go ahead and close this show out. So, final thoughts, everybody?
Just looking forward to more OTA action. I suppose it's probably not. I don't know what the exact dates are. Is it like another week out that it's round 2, or is it still continuously going? I guess I don't know how it's broken down, but I just want to keep seeing film. It's making me excited for training camp. I'm going to be going to that quite a bit this summer.
Yep. All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us, Darren. Make sure you guys show up at 8 o'clock tonight for Skull Gang 365 with Darren and his crew. Thank you guys for being on today and everything. And we will be back here next week. Same time, same channel. Take it easy, guys. Skull.
Skull.
Yeah, yo, it's game time. Ain't no messing around. Huddle Sports Network, the best in town. From NFL rumors to the latest trends, we got all your sports. Just tune in, my friends. Catch us on Roku, Fire Stick, take your pick. Facebook, YouTube, where the action's slick. Daily shows that drop like a bomb. From 10 to 11, it's Ken and Ken. Stay calm. Huddle up, catch the vibe, feel the rush. Get your news, get your fills in the clutch. Over 27 Palmcasts, we breaking it down. Join the team, Huddle Sports, wear the crown. Live every weekday, it's how we roll. Lions Talk with Jeremy B, we taking a stroll. From 11 to 12, don't miss a beat. We break down the game, make the info sweet. The Daily Huddle Podcast, noon to 1. CST Zone, we're just having fun. Toss your doubts, we bring the facts. Tune into the Huddle.